Voymonk vlog number 28, or video vlog number 28. I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to change this to video voice vlog in terms of the way that I'm charting these or tracking these or cataloging these, whatever word you want to use. Today is, of course, Tuesday, 7:13 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it is November 26th. And I decided to do a vlog today talking about horror movies and the fact that I don't really like horror films, which probably stands the reason and ask, well, why are you doing a vlog about it? Well, I'll tell you why. Because personally, I don't like horror films. Never been into it. I've seen a plenty horror films. I have family, I have loved ones who love horror films. But I've just never been into them. They definitely scared me as a kid. Freddy Krueger, Friday the 13th and stuff like that. And maybe that's a bit why I don't really appreciate them now and really didn't back then. For the most part, I guess it's the celebration of destruction and death and things of that nature. And I can understand how that can be an outlet in that sort of thing. And I'm certainly not critiquing anyone who likes horror films. It's just something that I don't care for. I don't like seeing others in pain. I don't like seeing people hurt. Well, at least not in general. I mean, at least not people, minding their own business camping, right? I mean, even in horror films, when they were written, they usually had to write something pretty bad about. They had to write a bad character so that, in the end, when they got their comeuppance, you didn't necessarily feel so bad that something happened, or they were doing something they weren't supposed to, and somehow you got a little bit of your fix watching someone getting their just desserts for not listening to mom and dad, or society, or social rules, or standing and that kind of thing. And I get that. It still doesn't make me like him anymore. It still makes me extremely uncomfortable. And through the years, obviously, I'm talking about Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street. But in later years, I thought that the gore fest it kind of compounded itself with series like I know I wasn't going to say the S word. Series like Final Destination, which was a series. I don't like horror films, but I watched a few of those, and they were okay. They were interesting. I thought the whole theme that death was this anthropomorphized being that had feelings and agenda and a schedule was kind of weird. Saw was pretty good, actually. I mean, again, not a horror fan. I've seen these because other people that I know that I love, or people that have liked them over the years, and somehow I've caught them. And I think when it comes to horror films, that's probably the only way I think I could digest it, is if I'm in a setting where I'm with people and enjoying it together out of a reactionary, rather than, me just being interested in some supernatural, spooky, especially the supernatural stuff. I think going back and watching Friday the 13th, I look at it now as just completely absurd. I mean, yes, Jason was absolutely scary, but I mean, you could outrun him. I mean, you could outwalk him. I mean, basically, he walked at a snail's pace, and the only reason that he could ever find anyone is because they do something as stupid as going upstairs when they should be running out the front door, or something that everybody knows about. But when it comes to horror films, it's just generally not been my cup of tea. And of course, now there are certainly horror aficionados and stuff like that. And so, like I said, this is not a criticism of anyone. If anything, it might be just an indictment on myself, incrimination, and self-incriminating, and telling you what kind of person I am. And being critical is fine. I mean, like I said, I just I'm the kind of guy that watches romance comedies, and I enjoy the first part, but I dread the second part and the ending or the eventual when Snow White turns back into the peasant girl, or the pumpkin the carriage turns back into the pumpkin. I'm mentioning Cinderella. I'm not a fan of Cinderella or watched a lot of Cinderella, but hopefully you get the reference. Am I the kind of person that avoids bad? Yes, that's absolutely part of my makeup. That's who I am. But and maybe that's part of the reason why I should watch horror films. But I don't know. I don't really think that horror films have much to do with the sense of realism. And if it does come to thrillers or things that are kind of scary, I think the more supernatural, the less scary I find them, especially as an adult. Because as a child, I didn't have as analytical or logical thinking as well as I do now, where if I see, obviously a shark that seems to have a specific agenda, which, if you know anything about sharks or marine biology or biology and science itself, you kind of know, yeah, that's not really how sharks operate. And obviously the reason that we know this is because of great horror flicks like Jaws. There's been a lot of response to that, which is to try to educate the public, including myself, through the many years about sharks and what they actually do, as opposed to being these bloodthirsty, feeding, frenzied monsters that are just looking to ruin some poor surfer's day at the beach. So, but I kind of wonder what that means in terms of, not liking horror films. I just don't enjoy them. I go so far as to say that I hate them, but I think I'll probably save that for musicals. Because I have kind of a similar relationship. I do like some musicals, but most of them I hate. So, but I gotta, maybe ask the question, what makes supposedly a good horror film as opposed to a terrible one? I mean, what's the point, right? If someone's listening to this, I guess that would maybe be my question to you is like, why would you like horror films? Why do what do you just like to see people chopped up? And is a bit of sadism in there? I don't know. So, but yeah, seeing this is a topic I don't like very much, I'm kind of having a bit of fun with this vlog. But that's gonna do it until my next vlog. Take care.